What's up? I'm Jacob Hayes from Vital MX. We're here with Jay Clark on this awesome KTM 125/150 build. Give us a little bit of an overview of what you've done to this thing and to bring us to this point.
Well, as you can see, you paused on the KTM because it doesn't really look like a KTM.
That's right, that's right.
And it's a 2018. It's the older generation bike from our kind of our current bikes right now. But we really like these bikes. A lot of guys really like this chassis and setup. But I got a good deal on this bike, so I stripped her down to the frame, San Diego powder coating, painted the frame, got that nice black look, and just went with all white plastic to kind of give it that gas look with our red graphics from with decal works. And the engine, we just went through the engine. Tom Morgan Racing, he's been around for years and kind of a two-stroke expert. He was Jeff Ward's mechanic and built a lot of top two-stroke engines over the years. And he's back in Minnesota, and he did the top end for us. And we kind of made it just a safe and sane motor. We didn't want to go like, hey, this thing's going to need change the rings every 4 hours or whatever, right?
Okay.
So safe and sane. Running some C12, we could cut it and run it half and half. It'd be fine with a half and half mix. So it's not too crazy on the compression, and we want to still have some good performance. And then I use a lot of really good products when I go through these things. Got the V-Force reed cage, FMF pipe and silencer, and that really, with the cylinder and headwork, that really sets the engine off. And then the radiators, ICW's back in North Carolina, they strengthen those things up for us, and they do an amazing job of that. Got the CV4 cap from Wiseco, and they have that higher pressure temp cap on there. And then you mentioned before we were talking about gearing, we've got the Pro X chain and sprocket, and 1350 rear. And I kind of think, I'm going to get your feedback, but I think it's a pretty good mix of gearing for especially these outdoor tracks where I'm going to be riding. And then, like I said, the thing looks awesome. Moto seat, scar foot pegs, UFO plastic, and thing's pretty dang awesome, Of course, got the Dunlop tires, got to have that. MX33 front and rear. ODI bars and grips. I really like this Champ bend. And I switched over to lock-ons, 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't know what I was thinking for years, gluing on grips. It was terrible. Oh, and a big thing on the suspension, I do kind of like the stock air fork at times, but typically overall, I still go back to a spring conversion. And we've mainly done the KYB ones. This is a much lower cost spring conversion from Racetech, kind of a budget one. And it's a pretty good value getting the single spring, just one side, making it, have no more air to deal with, and you can get that conversion going, which I think is really good for a lot of guys who don't want to deal with air pressure and be checking it and changing it all the time. So you ripped on this thing for quite a while. We burned almost 2 full tanks in this thing, so got some good footage of you and even got some GoPros. It was pretty fun watching somebody. This is the fastest this bike's probably ever going to go. So what'd you think of this thing?
Yeah, so when Vital called in and said, do you guys want to come out to Glen Helen and do a 125 test? I said, absolutely. I'm a 125 guy at heart. I think we all are a two-stroke guy. And got out to the track, and when I pulled up, I'm like, that's what I'm riding? No way. So just super excited from the get-go, and just got on the bike, set the bars, set the levers. Didn't really move the bars at all. Very comfortable with the ODI setup and the way that the cockpit feels on this bike. Really happy with it. Moved the levers a little bit and just went out and got just comfortable with the bike just underneath me. And then I came back in, and we kind of chatted about some things. You made a little tunage to the carb just to kind of clean up just a little bit of the bottom end lag that it had, which which it didn't really have any. I didn't think so, but you made a good call.
And just so you know, these stock Mikuni carbs aren't great. And so we switched to a Keihin carb. It has the JD jetting kit in there.
Okay.
And that's a lot cleaner running. So if you ride one of these with that Mikuni versus this, there's a big difference in that carburation anyway. It's just a lot easier to jet and tune with.
Gotcha. So he made that quick tune, went back out, and just honestly had a blast. Was ripping through the gears, up, down. Wore myself out, honestly, wore blisters in my hands, and came back in, and I was just like, I don't want to come off the track, but I just want to kind of start tinkering around to see if I could find just an even better setup for myself. Really like the single functioning fork. I've been a fan of those in the past, so I asked to go 2 clicks softer, and you had this bike set up for yourself, more of a vet style, so I was really impressed with how well the holdup was, even for myself as a pro, you know, bringing a lot of speed into the corners and things like that. The bike held up well. We went a little softer on the forks, a little faster on rebound, and then I even came back in and goes, wow, that was better. Can we stiffen up the rear a little bit? So just kind of tinkering around and felt like the bike just overall, right off a second, I was nervous because I weigh 170 now, so getting a little bit bigger in my older years. But yeah, I was able to carry third through a lot of the corners. I just, if I had the ability and I felt confident enough in myself that lap, I would just come in, roll it on in third and use a little feather of the clutch, and it just took me right up the hills, no problem. With the 1350 Sprocket, I personally wouldn't want to change that whatsoever. I felt like it had anything I needed, whether I got into a deep, soft, loamy section and drove it in there on the inside and had to make a pass or something like that, or if I swung around the outside, I was able to carry third. So it had a bit of best of both worlds for me. I could still carry second a long ways. I wasn't having to short shift it a whole lot. Yes, if I used a lot of momentum around the outside, I had to grab third super quick. But like I said, I like to try variations of different lines because that's, you know, that's what we like to do, is run it through its paces.
Oh, for sure. One thing we should touch on is that we said 125, but this thing really is a 150. I don't know if I touched on that at the beginning, but it was a 125. I got that 150 kit for it, which is just awesome. So that was what we modified, and it's just awesome. And I was just showing Jacob here, we had no ooze coming out of the silencer here. So I think it'll probably be jetted just right for me going slower. But with him, I would probably go up one on the main just to save this thing long term with a faster guy on it.
No, but overall, great day. Really appreciate you letting us run this thing to its full potential, and had a great time. Make sure to go over to Vital MX, click the link, give us a like, subscribe, comment what your thoughts are, and see you next time.